I don't know much about the Savannah Guthrie ordeal or mother being kidnapped. I know my mother pays attention to it. People at the gym I talk to pay attention. One in particular, Marie, if you're out there, this one's for you. This one's for anybody who's paying attention to Savannah Guthrie. I felt like it was a big psychological operation because just about everything they do nowadays is a big friggin' distraction. Hey, look at this shiny object. Look at that shiny object. Meanwhile, our rights are being taken away. I'm going to get into that, down the road, but not right now. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about these cell towers and these menacing cell towers and the detriment that they're causing to our health. But let's take a look at this. This is from Melissa Red Pill, Freedom Force on Twitter. What is this about? It's a question. What is this about Savannah Guthrie playing a game of kidnapping? Like I said, I haven't been paying attention to this because no importa. All right, I don't really care about this, but for those who do, you got God again? All right, let's take a look.
Guess what I just found out? Savannah Guthrie wrote a book, and in that book, she talked...
All right, let me play this over again. Turn up your volume. That's as loud as it gets, and I have at 200% volume right now. Recording.
Guess what I just found out? Savannah Guthrie wrote a book, and in that book, she talks about how her cousin Terry would fake kidnap she and her sister. And then when they got to a certain place, they would be able to call their mom, and the mom would go along with it and be like, okay, well, as it was a ransom, stop the train. Savannah has been practicing for a kidnapping her whole life? Is that what I'm gathering from this? Very MK coded.
So many comments and DMs about my video where I talk about in Savannah's book, there's a whole chapter where she talks about how important Psalm 23 is to her and why. It's because there were these annual kidnappings in her family. And I'm saying this in quotes, okay? It was a game that her cousin Terry would play with Savannah and Annie, where she would wake them up kind of very early in the morning while it was still dark, had them get into her car and fake kidnap them to her house for a few days. And then she would let Savannah call her mom when they were to Phoenix. I think that's where the cousin lived, to say, Mom, Terry stole us. We're in Phoenix. And the mom kind of played along. The mom, Nancy, played along and said, okay, I guess I'll come and get you in a few days.
Should we be looking into Terry now? Maybe it was their annual kidnapping. Okay, sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but this is, it's getting more bizarre by the second. Maybe Terry was like, well, it's Nancy's turn to be kidnapped. You can't make this up. She has an entire chapter on getting kidnapped annually. And now her mom, for real, is kidnapped.
Wait for it, TikTok. Boom. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm disappointed. All right, so take a look at this. I hope you're able to make heads or tails of what I just showed you about Savannah Guthrie. It's just a game, big freaking game. But let's take a look at this EMR, radiation from cell towers and wireless devices. You've been warned for years to keep that shit away from you. They say 1 inch for a cell phone, at least an inch away from your body, but I would stay as further away from that if even more so if possible. Get an EMF 390. I have one, and I'm going to dust it off and start testing the environment again and making videos, because we are really just getting bombarded by these waves, these microwaves. We're in electronic soup. And that's what COVID was about. That's what the Spanish flu was about. Whenever they turn on like a new, sonar, back I think early 1900s or in the 40s or something like that, when they activated sonar, people had another virus, right? Well, COVID was no different. Corona, I went over this in 2020. I shared information. I made videos after video about it. It was a spectrum of energy, really, Corona. And COVID was just that. A lot of areas of the world where they have 5G, they turned it up. Mainly in Wuhan, that's where it started. Over 10,000 mini and regular sized big cell towers were turned on 5G in Wuhan because that's the Internet of Things city from China to showcase to the world. They had military games there. They bedazzled the spectators with drones and all kinds of stuff using this technology, but it also made the people sick. And well, then the Chinese government, communist government, said take your vaccines. Of course, wear your muzzles. They're always wearing a muzzle because that's a sign of subservience, that you're a slave. That's what it is. It was also a worldwide occult ritual that was occurring back then, with the 666 feet apart, the weird circles that you had to stay in parks and stuff like that. And I went over all that. But we're going to focus on this because this is causing a lot of problems. And people, when they develop diabetes or diabetes 2 or cancer, they're like, well, why do I have that? Why do I have cancer? And Big Pharma's going to say, well, you know, it just happens. It's in your genes. Well, it might be in your genes. Quite literally. If you have your damn cell phone in your damn pocket. Men keep them in their front pocket. Can cause testicular cancer for starters. There's someone I know is actually a former student that had the sac removed due to cancer, and it made me wonder, was the wireless device near there? Because remember, we used to playing video games, we used to have the controller had a wire attached. That's safer. But then they went to wireless controls, and usually when you're playing video games, it's close to your abdomen. It's down here, right? It's not up here. The controller, you're playing it down here, which is near your pelvis area. iPad, infertility pad, same thing. And these cell phones that are in these girls, they like to put them in their back pocket, which is radiating the culo. They can develop ovary cancer and anything pelvic related problems. The same thing with men. So this electromagnetic radiation, EMR, exposure from electrical power grids, cell towers, and wireless devices is likely a driver of the global increase in diabetes. According to a new report by Paul Heroux, Heroux, PhD studies, compiled by Heroux show that very low levels of EMR can affect how cells function, including how they can handle glucose. The word out on the street is that these routers and all these frequencies that we're being hit with can literally, just pretty much what this is alluding to, mess with your metabolism and can cause weight gain. Electromagnetic radiation, EMR, is likely a driver of global increase in diabetes, according to a new report by Paul Heroux, PhD. The report, which includes over 280 citations, is a deep dive into the evidence suggesting that EMR exposure from electrical power grids and wireless radiation can dysregulate and raise blood sugar levels. Can dysregulate this radiation and raise blood sugar levels. Quote, current EMR safety standards are inadequate for protecting long-term metabolic health, Heroux said. The Federal Communications Commission, which sets the U.S. safety limits for wireless radiation exposure, based its limits on the assumption that wireless radiation can only cause harm at levels high enough to heat human tissue. Where have we heard of frequencies that can heat human tissues and cause you to fall back? But yet, I showed you that in the video. Who was it? It was some expert in the video said, oh, but this is safe. It's only goes to 1/64th of the body. It can't hit the organs. It's not going to cause cancer. Remember that? Remember that? I showed you that 5G access denial technology, and they were like, oh, this just causes heat on the skin and causes you to fall back, but it's safe and effective. It doesn't affect your organs. Yet, here we are, in this article right here. It says, let me go through this again. The Federal Communications Commission, which sets the U.S. safety limits for wireless radiation exposure, based its limits on the assumption, well, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, based on the assumption that wireless radiation can only cause harm at levels high enough to heat human tissue. What this means is, from what I'm trying to gather here, is the FCC. So the FCC will let me see. The FCC won't let me be. So It feels so empty without me. The FCC is basically saying, well, your router, your cell phone is not heating up your tissue. You have your cell phone right here. It's not causing you any harm. If the frequencies coming from your cell phone are burning your skin, well, then it's causing harm. But yet, we're in the other breath, they said this Access 5G technology, it heats up your skin, causing the rioters to fall back, right? Because they feel this intense heat. But then the experts come on and say, well, it just hits 1/64th of your body. It goes into, I don't want to say the word penetrate, I don't like that word. It goes into only 1/64th of an inch of your skin. So therefore, it's not hitting your organs. So you might feel the heat is on, but it's not causing damage. Which one is it? Which way you go? You went that way. They talk out of both corners of their mouth. This is causing damage. Thus we must conclude that if you're feeling the heat from these frequencies, it causes damage. If you don't feel the heat because it's lower frequencies, but the cell phone is near your body, it's still causing damage. All right? So let's cut the BS shit out. Wireless anything, whether you feel it or you don't feel it, is going to cause damage to you if you have it on your person. And that's the bottom line, because the facts said so. Okay? The studies Hero compiled showed that very low levels of this radiation can impact how cells function, including how they handle glucose. Diabetes occurs when a person's blood sugar levels are too high, according to the Cleveland Clinic. As of 2023, 364,000 U.S. kids and teens were diabetic, according to the Centers for Disease Creation, CDC. Although more recent figures aren't available, the CDC in 2024 reported that the number of young people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes is on the rise. It's not just the cell towers or the cell phones. And notice they call it cell phones. Why is that? Because it affects your cells? That's what it seems like to me. Right? It's not only just the cell phones, but when you have a shitty diet because you're sedentary, the kids aren't outside playing, they're obese. Obesity is on the rise. Shitty diet, lack of exercise, lack of sun simulator light. I meant sunlight, even though that giant white globe used to be golden. Lack of sunlight, lack of good nutrition, lack of exercise, staying indoors, lack of vitamin D, constantly playing your video games with your wireless controls, constantly having wireless everything near you, AirPods which radiate your brain, what's left of your pea brain. I mean, the whole 9 yards. You're getting hit with all these frequencies. It's going to cause problems, whether you feel it or not, okay? And the bottom line is, the wireless technology is dangerous. It fucks with your, well, everything. Your cells, your immune system, your metabolism. Obviously, what was here, the glucose can cause type 2 diabetes, which is on the rise. And let's see here. In 2023, the American Academy of Pediatrics issued a new clinical guideline that endorsed weight loss drugs and weight loss surgeries as safe and effective treatments for child obesity. They love that phrase, safe and effective. Safe and sound reminds me of capital cities. Safe and sound, safe and effective. The same year, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved 2 drugs. Okay, I already went over that. All right, so the bottom line is, all right, the American Academy of Pediatrics hasn't updated its parental guidance on cell phone radiation in nearly a decade, despite numerous studies in recent years highlighting the dangers of exposure in children. It's very dangerous. It can cause infertility, it can cause cancer, it tampers with your metabolism. There's nothing really good coming out of this wireless, coming out of this technology. And, of course, it causes the C word that rhymes with answer. Especially if you hold it up to your brain. I remember your head, the cell phone. I remember Biden, they showed a picture of his head, like right before he died. It looked like he had like a cell phone scar. I don't know if it was AI. I don't know. But it does cause tumors in the head. It does. It's a fact. This stuff is dangerous. And I scratched the surface on this. If you want to know more about this, I'll leave the link in the description box. This is from the Defender Children Health Defense. EMR radiation from cell towers, wireless devices linked to diabetes epidemic. Okay, Deborah DeVaris, she even agrees it's all dangerous. You should know this by now, all right? And these Riris that hold this, I mostly see Glories hold the phones like this. They're always on the phone, first of all. Everywhere I go, they're on the phone. They're always on the phone. Grocery store, the gym, talking to themselves. Or they'll hold it like a wafer to their mouth, letting it radiate their mouth, their tongue, their lips, and all that. It's retarded. People are really retarded. They just don't think. They don't think, or they don't want to find out what's going on. And when you try to tell them, hey, look, the cell phone's dangerous, they'll say, oh, it is dangerous? Really? Okay, thanks for letting me know. Anyway, blah, 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 and put it right back to their head. This is the world we live in, clown world. I'll put this article in the description box. Don't be a troll out there. That's what I got for you. Playing games with the hide and seek, kidnapping, and people think that wireless isn't dangerous and that's a real tree. Clown world. Don't be a troll. If you see a troll, say something. I am ood.